time to comment on the Jon Gruden hiring to be tomorrow. He'll be in Oakland today, I believe, for his interview. Yeah, and it's a nice cold day. Not as cold as yesterday here. I'm in Massachusetts, and I got my cup of coffee, my second one. Actually, it's more than my second one, but it's my space heater. Everywhere I look online, I see all this talk of Gruden being a bad hire. Everyone brings up the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tony Dungy's Buccaneers, who beat the Raiders under Bill Callahan, who was the offensive coordinator for Jon Gruden the year before for Oakland. Tony Dungy's defense did it. Tony Dungy. Does anyone even watch football? I'm inclined to think they don't. With my cranky seat and my leaky headphones. Someone wants to buy me a pair of headphones, I'd be most appreciative. I'm partial to some new old stock Bear Dynamic enclosed. These things feedback like crazy. The AKGs, and they're falling apart. But anyway, Jon Gruden, he didn't do anything for Tampa Bay. Because the whole thing is we're just going to give all this credit to Tony Dungy. And we're going to give nothing to him. Nothing to the players or new players that were on the team or whatever. I'm not going to go back and look through each player who was on Tony Dungy's defense. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Football, so many factors go into football, especially if you're the Oakland Raiders. The Oakland Raiders, you not only have to account for your team, you have to account for the referees, the weather, the fans, especially when you're on the road, like in Kansas City or something, or Denver, which most teams, they probably don't get that same hatred. It's possible that, Dallas and the Giants and, Philadelphia, they probably have a real good rivalry right there. But Oakland Raider fans, they know that the chips are stacked against them. And one thing they really have to look out for is the Zebras. And the Zebras, they like to slant the game. And to me, years later, it's almost like a test. They're treating you like vassals or something, Like the NFL is us. You are part of the NFL. You will capitulate. They're trying to beat you down and then pat you on the head. It's kind of like what Russia does for centuries. Like Russia with the Ukraine. Now they're probably doing it with Turkey. They beat them into submission, and then they pat them on the head, and they keep them as some sort of vassalage. Ukraine was where they, one of the areas of Russia, the former Soviet Union, where like wheat was, grains were grown. It's one of those areas kind of like the United States, like Kansas or something, where in the summertime it's very hot. Or it gets really cold there. Really fast. The winter just comes on like, it's like over 100 degrees in the summertime, and then it just gets freezing like that. But that's what the NFL does to the Raiders, because Al Davis was this huge figure in the NFL, in the AFL. And so They want to beat them down. And based on how you react is a test. Like Crabtree, just reacting to his chain getting ripped off as some sort of affront to his manhood. How about not wearing a chain? I mean, come on. When I think of Gruden, I don't think of going to Pro Football Reference or some website and looking up his win-loss percentage and overanalyzing too much about him. All I remember is when he came on board, he changed the entire culture of the team. Slowly but surely. Al Davis was there. Al Davis was very much in control. Al Davis made him select Janikowski. Now, I know Gruden said, well, I got that one wrong. No, you didn't. Janikowski has been anything but clutch over the years. Yes, he's made some clutch field goals, but he has missed some in blue games. Not as bad as his predecessors. Because that was one of the reasons the Raiders went 4-12 one year under Jeff George. They had no one who could kick field goals or extra points or anything. And Jeff George, he was an Al Davis favorite. I liked him too. I thought the problem was the Raiders team. I think they were selfish, and they weren't. The defense sucked. I mean, that's the year they went 4-12, where he almost threw for 4,000 yards, which was a lot back then. The rules were different compared to the rules of today. Today, the receivers should have no problem. I can picture a receiver getting 4,000 yards the way they don't allow the defenders to do anything anymore. I know that's not going to happen, but, just really. I mean, they talk about like, they still talk about like, it's great. And when, the receiver gets 1,000 yards receiving. Really? Nowadays? You can't even do anything to the receiver? There's no way you can tee up on him like George Atkinson, Jack Tatum? You can't do that crap anymore. You haven't been able to do that for a while, but you can't even attempt to do that. You're suspended. No problem. I mean, just that's how it is. But they have so much freedom. But the Raiders, they can't catch the ball. And someone pointed out, I was thinking of this, but I wasn't really comparing it to Crabtree. Gruden had Keyshawn Johnson, and he was a head case. Actually, Crabtree, for the most part, keeps his mouth shut. Mostly because he can't speak English too well. But he keeps his mouth shut, but, Keyshawn Johnson, he never shut up. And he had him, and he was like a problem, player. There would be a problem on most teams. The Raiders have these head cases. I mean, what's going on with Crabtree? Why is he dropping passes? Why is Cooper dropping passes? Now, Gruden, he wanted his own type of players. Al Davis, he wanted to keep George. Gruden was the one that wanted Gannon. He got him on the roster. Gannon was like a journeyman. He was on Kansas City before. He was on Minnesota. I think he was drafted as a defensive back, if you can believe that. But on Kansas City, he played second fiddle to Elvis Gerbach, I believe. And he would sometimes play and do well, and Schottenheimer would always go back to Gerbeck and put him on the bench. He came to the Raiders, even said that it was like culture shock for him, especially the discipline, just all the other problems that go with Oakland. And he weaseled his way basically into the starting job because Gruden wanted a guy who was prepared. I don't know what Jeff George did. I mean, he had an incredible arm, ridiculous throwing style, holding the ball way up at the top. I didn't even understand that, but he could just whip that ball like that. It was astounding. Gannon didn't have a strong arm. He had a weak arm, really. And eventually, Gruden convinced Al Davis. I guess they used to have heated debates right on the field, in front of the press, to go with Gannon. And Gannon was going to demand the players be held accountable. He took away their pool balls, apparently a pool table, recreational area, I guess. There was some video game systems. Took them away too. I don't know if he did it in front of them. I'm suspecting. I remember the stories that him and Gruden used to arrive very early. And Gruden would say, "Get the hell out of here, man," or something. And Gannon would stay. So I'm suspecting Gannon, he took the pool balls and the video game systems before the players arrived. But either way, I mean, obviously they're going to see what's going on. They're going to want to confront him. He didn't care. You're screwing with his life. You're screwing his job. And that's what I like about Gruden, wanting a quarterback like that. But the question is Derek Carr like that? I'm inclined to think, as of right now, he's not. He goes on that stupid Jesus trip. And that's all fine and good if you're some sort of I don't even know what you even call it. You're out on your own, you're doing community service or something like that, and you're helping the people, helping poor people, and blah blah blah. You're like poor man's Mother Teresa. No, you're actually a rich man's Mother Teresa. You got a lot of dough, and you could do all these things, blah blah blah. But for a football team, it doesn't make any sense. It's not going to make any sense, and in fact, you're going to get cut after this year. That's what's going to happen. Now, I'm inclined to think that that's how he is now. But he actually evolved from something. I remember after he signed, there was a couple stories that weren't by reporters. These were people, I think it was just one person actually. It was so like out there. One person was going around to various message boards, I think ESPN, NFL.com, and they were saying, it's like Carr's full of crap. You know, he goes on all his Jesus stuff or whatever, but he was a total rebel rouser, and you know, back in college and stuff like that, people don't know what he really is, and he talks about this person made accusations of not fidelity, but what do you call it? that he might have more children than he's indicating. I think that might have come out already. I mean, if they go after rock stars and stuff and other celebrities, I'm pretty sure that the paternity lawsuits would come out. But that's what the person was suggesting, that he was very loose. And even Kaz said that. Like, he tells some story about, like, he's walking away from his girlfriend or wife or something like that. She's like, where you going? He's like, oh, I'm going to hang out. Going out to the bar or something like that. And she's like, she complains that that's not the man she thought he was or something. And he's given up that lifestyle for her and this Christian life. Christians used to swing swords around against Arabs in the Crusades. That's the Christian life. In the name of Christianity, more people have been murdered than any other religion. So there is room for fighting and rebel rousing. So what is the real Derek Carr? And is he going to make the commitment? I guess he really does come in early and he works very hard and blah, blah, blah. But is he going to be able to maybe give up even more time to his family and stuff? And is he going to be able to come down harder on his teammates? Expect more out of Cooper and others? I hope that Jon Gruden is going to make at least a difference there to help him. If he identifies these people like Cooper and Crabtree as problems, that he gets rid of them and gets someone in there that Carr can rely on. Now, I wouldn't rule out the Raiders making a mega trade for a known commodity. I know some people have thrown out Megatron and stuff coming back from retirement and stuff. I don't know if that is actually viable, but you never know. That guy could catch passes. I mean, that's why Gruden brought in Jerry Rice, because he was kind of known for catching passes. He was kind of reliable in that department. But right now, Derek Carr does not really have a reliable receiver. Even Jared Cook at the end, he wasn't looking the same. And that's a problem. They don't have one of those Todd Christensens. Playoffs aside and cold weather aside, they don't have a Tim Brown. Because Tim Brown choked in the playoffs, and especially in cold weather. He couldn't catch. He was from Dallas or something. Even though they get some kind of winter down there, he just never functioned in the cold. Remember the Buffalo game? 51-3. Couldn't catch anything. And in the Super Bowl, he blew it too. Yeah, and so much for Tony Dungy's defense. How about the Raiders' center coming down with, going bipolar before the game? That didn't affect the outcome? Come on. There's so many factors that go into success in the NFL, and a lot of it's choreographed. Really. Those referees, they can screw you so bad. The thing is, gotta not react to them. Don't react to them. Now, I'm sure Gruden's gonna react, but you gotta expect it if you're the Raiders. But if you're taking care of business, you don't have to worry about them. You got to be sound and fundamental. You've got to catch the ball. You've got to become reliable. Derek Carr lost all confidence this year. You could see it. He had no confidence in anyone. I think it started in the Washington game. All the players on the offensive line before the game said they were going to kneel. Go to church if you want to kneel. He was sacked 4 times that game. I'm not saying they just, olayed, but they definitely weren't trying. They weren't focused. Football is very fast. And it's not some like slow game anymore. It's going to get a hell of a lot faster with Gruden. I look forward to that. And I hope that brings some people on board that can help. I don't know if they're good coaches. I don't know if Rich Gannon is a great coach, quarterback coach. You tell him certain things, but what is Rich Gannon going to tell Derek Carr how to throw passes? Rich Gannon couldn't throw half the passes Derek Carr could throw. Although at times Derek Carr showed that, just didn't look like he could throw in cold weather. I think that was one of the concerns because he has small hands. His hands are smaller than mine. I forget what size my hands are. They're like 9 3/4. You measure from the end of the pinky to the tip of the thumb. His are like 9 1/4 or something like that. I think Peyton Mann's were like 10. It helps to have big hands. Remember the Dallas game, holding the ball out like that? Well, ball came out. Small hands. I'm not saying he's as bad as like David Craig, if you remember him. At one time, he owned the record for quarterbacks fumbling. He would just fumble all the time. He had very small hands. But the Raiders could use someone like Steve Largent. They need a Jerry Rice. They need a Tim Brown, so to speak. They need someone reliable. Someone's got to fish that out. And it starts with Gruden. And it starts with how he's going to unravel Carr. It's not like Carr's never chewed out teammates before. Remember the preseason? A couple years ago. It was Roberts. Roberts was an undrafted free agent. He chewed him out in between play in the preseason for not running the route. So I think he's got it in him. I mean, towards the end of the season, you could see he's just like laughing, like, oh, like what? Shaking his head. But I hope not too much of the Jack Del Rio thing rubbed off on him, because he was known. Jack Del Rio's been known for not taking accountability himself. He could have stopped a lot of the problems with just the team fracturing. With these protests. You want to go protest, do it after the game. Don't bully the bully pulpit. And he had a certain position, and he just said, okay, you guys do what you want to do, and I'm fine with it. No, you lost your job because of that. The owner was on your side at that point. The owner only changed his position after the protests. Trump got involved, and people get so set off by Trump. People should really get an education. They really should absorb more of history, and especially like Donald Trump. And they would see that it's all BS. You're going to use him as your scapegoat. You're going to use police as your scapegoat. Police do things bad to everyone all the time. Doesn't matter the color. They act like fascist, communist all the time. They're in a union, and unions akin to communism. And they have so much power accumulated that a city can't even get rid of them. It's like state laws in the way of a city just saying, bye. You're gone. We're canceling your pensions too. Bye. They make outrageous amounts of money. And they do bad things to people all the time. And they act like it's not their fault. The other day, there's a new game online that's played by gamers called swatting. I didn't even know what it was. I thought swatting was like swatting flies. Basically, some hacker or someone who gets knowledge of where you live, they sort of cloak your address when they make the phone call to 911, and they make an outrageous, outlandish accusation or story that usually is like a hostage situation, and the person's going to kill someone. The one the other day, I don't know his race. I mean, he looks like he has a little Spanish in him or something. His swatter looks Spanish, Mexican. Well, he called up and said, first he called some sort of city security thing or something, I don't know. And the 911 operator actually called him back. He was caught off guard. And then he went into his spiel and said that he was holding people at hostage, holding them in a closet. I think he said he smacked someone over the head with a gun. And he's going to kill him. He's probably going to light the house on fire and kill himself. And they arrived outside this guy's door that had nothing to do with him. He didn't even know him. He was actually swatting someone for another person. Cops pulled the gun. The guy opened the door and said, "What do you want?" or something like that. And they said, "Put your hands up." And he puts his hands up and he puts them back down. And I guess he motioned towards his waistband, and they just shot him. And they ran in the house and got everyone out and made him like step over his dead handcuffed body. And that guy might be white, he might be Spanish, he might be a little of both. But he wasn't black. And the cop was taking advantage of his position and power. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. I can give you the quote if you want that. The whole quote, where it comes from. But it's true. And so NFL players should just drop this nonsense. So they got a job to do. They're being paid plenty, and they're actually jeopardizing their entire career. But Gruden needs to go in there, and he needs to lay down the law. I need my coffee. And those are some of the real questions. Not the questions that the NFL.com and ESPN trying to suggest Tony Dungy won the Super Bowl, not Gruden, and blah, blah, blah. Like I said, I like Gruden coming to the Raiders. Jack Del Rio, who I think could have easily been more forceful. He was playing too buddy-buddy. There was stories out there that he and Tice and others may have lied to Davis that teams were interested in Downing, and that's why he was kept on. But really, you can't just blame Downing. You can't give Dungy a Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. The players have to play. And so many other factors have to come into just the ball isn't even round. It bounces in a funny way. And sometimes it's how the ball bounces, It's luck involved and just time and everything. And they still did not perform. There's so many instances where players are dropping balls, not picking the right gaps, running backs, just miscommunication, and there's so much blame. Del Rio held on to Ken Norton Jr. and he signs Pagano as an assistant head coach / defensive coordinator or something like that, or assistant defensive coordinator. And I mean, all Raider fans thought, oh, writing's on the wall. He's got a very short time. He's got to do it. He's got to turn this defense around. But he wasn't even qualified. This is a buddy thing. Giving a buddy some job he wasn't qualified for. He could possibly be a linebacker coach, but not a defensive coordinator. He was so overmatched. Pagano, who is not highly regarded, just turned the defense into like pretty good defense with just what do they have for cornerbacks? They were getting guys off of the IR, and many players were on the IR. Reggie McKenzie's going to come into play too. Watch, mark my words. He's the one that took the chance on Conley. Came as damaged goods. He was damaged goods before the draft. Now we were all hoping that they were getting a bargain. But think about it. He was being accused of rape. He was acquitted, not acquitted, but the DA in Cleveland decided not to press charges. But he invited some girl to some sort of impromptu orgy at 3 a.m. in the morning. Those are major red flags. Now, I'm not saying the best players are like squeaky clean. They probably aren't. But when you're selecting draft picks, you got to wonder about those things. Now, he could come back in very short, time span when he played. He looked really good. But he's got to toughen up. Obi Menafano, whatever his name is. Very fast. But doesn't appear to know or have any football instincts. Those are your top two. Then you have Vanderdoos. Contrary to what is being reported, that he got injured in the last game, He didn't. I don't know if it was the game before or the game before that. I have to go back and watch. But he actually injured himself before he finally tore it. You can see him, I think it's the last couple games, he comes off the field and he's holding his knee. He's limping. He hurt himself before that, and he kept himself in there. Now, he's a young player, and he wants to make an impression, and he's being kept in there. That's coaching right there. They have to identify he's got a problem. Especially if it happened, and I do believe it did happen, before the last game. You've got to get an MRI on that knee that he's already had problems with before and find out how much damage we're talking about. They did not. I guarantee that's something Mark Davis is. He gets all this reputation as being very stupid and blah blah blah, but he's the one that pays the bills. He's the one trying to build the team up, trying to correct mistakes from his father, and he might have observed the same thing I observed. He was injured before the last game. So Gruden's really going to have to go in there and look through the roster. I can't wait. I just feel that even if the Raiders go 0-16 for the next 10 years, that Gruden is going to give it 150%. He's not going to go in there and half-ass it. Jack Del Rio could have done better. The players let him down. Really. He was not known as a brilliant tactician. An X's and O type guy. He was a rah, 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 let's go type of guy. He was a stud in high school, a stud in college. You could see him like he's on some Bob Hope show. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a New Year's show or a Christmas show, and he comes out. He's really thick. But he was a great football player. This wasn't Ken Norton Jr. That does not mean they make great coaches. I mean, look at some of the coaches. Look at the greatest Raider coaches. Madden never played, I don't believe. Flores played. I mean, he was good to a certain degree. Good as far as like AFL. But he wasn't an NFL caliber quarterback. I don't know about any of the others off the top of my head except Art Shell. But Art Shell was pretty simple. He was kind of like Del Rio, but a little more simple. He got him motivated that first time around, but just like some of the other ones that actually had great histories, like Bugle, the players actually lobbied for him. And then they threw him under the bus. A lot of people forget that. And he was a nice guy and got thrown under the bus. I don't think Gruden's going to settle for that. And that's what I look forward to. I look forward to seeing who is he going to get rid of. Jerikai, you better strap in. I mean, you want to do all this good for the world and blah, blah, blah. Well, you need to start putting it in. Putting in the house. And not putting up with this crap like dropping passes and running bad routes and crap like that. You gotta say, no, I want someone else in there. You should not even care if it's like an undrafted slow wide receiver just as long as he catches the goddamn ball. I mean, they gotta have some people in there that are actually going to fight. Just look on like the Patriots. They're the only team in football to have a bunch of white wide receivers. But they go over the middle and they catch the ball and, they just never stop. They're not running out there with gold chains and crap like that. I'm not saying they have to go out and draft white guys. I'm saying they have to draft people who don't come with head cases. I mean, like, Cooper has got a head case. I mean, I don't know where it even comes from. I don't know if it's because they were talking about, like, hey, this is the next Jerry Rice. This guy is the most complete wide receiver to come out, blah, blah, blah. Show it. Don't drop the ball. It may have something to do with Carr. And Carr finally hit him on a deep pass. That was like Carr's best pass of the year in the last game. Carr is known for not putting the ball where it needs to be. There's a lot of blame to go around. But Gruden is the one, if anyone can turn something around, is him. Raiders have problems, though. They got a lot of problems. And like I said, McKenzie, they're going to butt heads. McKenzie doesn't like to trade draft picks. I could see Gruden wanting to trade for a wide receiver. If he feels that Cooper and Crabtree are not going to do it for him and he needs a possession receiver, I could see him trying to do a blockbuster deal and give away draft picks. I'm not sure he would try to get. But he's going to want something. He's going to demand something if it's not there. All these new rules, so he's not going to be able to really evaluate. All he can evaluate is on film. And when he talks, he's very aggressive when he talks. He's going to get involved. He's going to want to know what's going through their head. He always questions. During these quarterback camps, he's going to do the same thing with these receivers. Why are you dropping passes? He's going to know. He's going to know the truth, too. If you want to sell the truth and say, well, it's Derek Carr, he's throwing the ball behind my head, he's going to want to know that. Jack Del Rio is not going to want to know that. He's going to be like, just get him. Just do it. He's just one of those. He's not going to be like that. He's going to be, why? What do you got? Is it Derek Carr? He's going to tell him, I need to know right now whether I need to keep you on this roster. Now, Raider fans don't like that idea. You're not really Raider fans, are you? They cannot settle for second. I hope he does not play some sort of favorite thing. I don't know if Penn was his left tackle when he was coaching. I don't think it was. Because has he been in the league over 9 years? I'm not sure how long he's been there. I just hope there's not a connection there. Because I think Penn is wore out his welcome. He's not doing it. And don't give me crap about power blocking and crap like that. The year before, the Raiders had trouble blocking. Because they have a bunch of fat guys on the offensive line who are not very mobile and accurate with their blocks. Sometimes they can manhandle smaller defensive linemen. But sometimes they can't do anything. But I can remember one game. Gruden was coaching. I want to say it was versus Dallas. He just decided, we're just going to run the ball. We are just going to run the ball right down their throat. Kind of like that Denver game from last year, in 2016 season, where Raiders finally decided we're just gonna run the same play at them. We're just gonna maul Miller and company, and they did. And Gruden's that type of coach. One other thing, I kind of hope this. I know Gruden has sentimentality for Oakland. I think that's a bad thing. That is one thing I would say is bad. And the reason it is bad is because of free agency. California has what? 13.5% tax? Las Vegas has 0. San Diego Chargers are playing in a little dinky stadium. There's no reason why the Raiders shouldn't move to Las Vegas right now and play in whatever you call those Division III schools or whatever. Just play in a little tiny stadium. I don't give a crap about all this Oakland, blah, blah, blah. No. It's economics. It has to do with the type of free agents you can sign. The Raiders, at the time, could have used Campbell, who went to Jacksonville. They could have used, I think his name is Brown, that was on Buffalo. He came in. This is the end of free agency, mind you. He came in, and he said like he's going fishing. And he signed with Washington. And I think he led the league in tackles. They could have used him at the time. Now, Bowman came in, and he played really well. I think Gruden will like Bowman. But they have a lot of holes. I would say they need to really look to get a left tackle and a right tackle. And they're going to need some cornerback help in depth. And if they can't solve this wide receiver problem, then they need to have a backup plan in place. They have to look for either, I don't know who's available in free agency, whether you want to go like a tight end type route or wide receiver in free agency or trade or draft. But they need to get Derek Carr some reliable weapons. If these weapons that he got this year are broken. If need be, the house needs to be clean. I don't think Gruden is going to be hesitant about that. I mean, if Derek Carr can't get on with the program too, he will be cleaned out after this next year. Well, this year. The way his contract is structured, it'll be minimal damage. So he's gotta change. He's got to demand so much more. They need to go back to business. Get off the knees. Go back to business. That's why I'm loving this hire. Removing some coffee grinds. Too bad. Too late, rather. I think I swallowed them. I would be really concerned if I was an Oakland Raider and thought this was going to be a cakewalk. That they still have a job. I don't think anyone's job on the roster is safe. Some have got a lot of money. I would say for next year, it's probably only Carr and Mac that have jobs that are safe. And really, one thing Gruden needs to get out of the system of these players is that they're competing for something. I mean, they're actually on the cusp of a Super Bowl or something, some sort of crap like that. They haven't shown anything like that. They laid down like rabbits in that playoff game last year. So what are they going to do this year? Gonna find out. It might take a while. It's gonna. I don't know the off-season schedule. I know the draft is usually in late April, but the assessment of the roster is gonna happen way before then. Gruden's got to make decisions before. I don't know if there's an exact beginning to the off season. I don't know if it's in February. There's an exact date where they can do trades and stuff like that. But I do think there's going to be some movement. I'm not sure who. I do think they're going to want to accumulate draft picks. Clean out roster. And address things in free agency. Don't know how much they're under the cap. Or how they're going to structure things. Or who they can cut. No, there are people they can cut. They have a lot of work to do. But the people just writing Gruden off. Is that all you have to do? I mean that's all you can come up with. Let's see how it unfolds. I personally believe he's going to give the Raiders as much effort to straighten out this mess as they've been slackers in 2017. Total slackers. I don't know who he's going to bring in for coaches that are really going to push things. Well, if they can help. There's been talk of Charles Woodson coming in, but I don't know if he's coach material. Just because you a great player, even though he did protest and walk off the field, and him and Charles Garner, if people remember right, 2003, I believe. So you can't just pencil him in some sort of coach. They need no nonsense. They cannot allow all these outside distractions to affect how they prepare for next season. Gruden didn't do it. I don't know if he would make a good coach, but he is not one to put up with that sort of crap. And Gruden's not going. I just hope he gets rid of the problem players immediately. Need to get people in there that are willing to put up with Gruden. Show a commitment to excellence. And when that is done, when that is accomplished, the Raiders should compete much better. There's so many games this year, it's pathetic. The so-called second best offensive line. They couldn't do anything if they had to do something. And they're just wasting the effort of like Mac and stuff. And one of the best things they could have done for Carr is actually improve the defense. And they're just like, nah, we don't need a defense. Defense is overrated. How's it the Patriots rank so high in defense and offense? Yeah. I know the refs help them and stuff in the league. But if they can do it, so can't the Raiders. And Gruden is my man.